Hello and welcome to another week of Deck of Aces. Wearing a hat because it's ridiculously cold now, being winter and all. This week I'm going to talk a little bit about asexuals and whether or not we're more innocent than the general populace. It's been my general experience with what few asexuals I've actually met that we are not really innocent at all. Well, depends on your definition really, but most asexuals that I've met tend to have pretty dirty minds. Yeah, me included. I'll just come up with the worst, horrible, nasty sexual jokes for no reason. They just kind of pop into my head. So yeah, that's been my general experience. But as I said, it depends on your definition of the word innocent, because you could be referring to the sort of jokes that we come up with, whether they're sexual jokes or not. But you could also be referring to what sort of things we've done in our lives, like whether we have had sex with 50,000 people, or whether we're virgins, which most asexuals probably are, I would say. Not having any statistics on hand, I'll have to assume that's correct. So yeah, and a lot of the time we probably don't pick up on the same sort of things that sexual people do, like, can't give an example. Okay, ignore that train of thought, because I've just spent like 5 minutes trying to think of an example, and I'm drawing a blank. So I've just looked up the dictionary definition of the word innocent, and probably the one that we're mostly looking at here is uninformed or unaware, or ignorant. So yeah, a lot of people sort of assume that because asexuals don't have that natural tendency to want sex, that we're ignorant and we don't know anything about it. And for some asexuals that might be true, but well, most of us tend to know what goes on in sex, you know. We know the whole ugly, nasty business that happens. I think it's nasty. That's my personal opinion. But just because we choose not to partake of that doesn't mean that we're ignorant of it. A point that I think Tiberius brought up is that most aces are kind of unaware of flirting and things like that. And I don't know about other aces, but it's definitely true for me. If someone flirts with me, it'll go right over my head, and I won't notice until they kind of start being more blatant. I remember one person at work asked me out for coffee, and I was just like, yeah, sure, coffee, sounds good, why not, let's have coffee. And we did that a couple of times, and it wasn't until they started texting me, asking me what I was wearing, I was like, clothes, why? And I sort of caught on, oh wait, that's flirting, isn't it? I see what's going on here, I don't want any of that. So yeah, that was really strange. Scratching my head through a hat doesn't work. But that's sort of my take on things, is that we're not innocent exactly, but most asexuals just don't really process things the same way as sexual people will. So we might not notice flirting as much, and we might not necessarily pick up on the same sorts of jokes, and probably won't go through the same sexual experiences, which is pretty understandable, because our brains aren't wired to do the same thinking process as sexual people's are. That's my take on that. I'm not a scientist or anything, so don't take this as necessarily absolute fact. but that's just how I see it. So yeah, that's it for this week. Keep watching all the videos, and message us if you want to be one of our vloggers. We've still got a few spots free, and probably the best place to do that is on the forum, which I'll link again down there. So yeah, see you later.